This is an electronic instrument that I have built. This is called the Radio Baton, and it's how I play the music with these two batons. Now, in the end of each baton is a little radio transmitting antenna, and underneath the blue top of this receiving antenna, there are 4 antennas actually, and they're, in ways that I won't explain in detail, they are able to track the location of the transmitters in 3-dimensional space, X and Y and Z. So with each stick I can control 3 things, and with both hands I can control 6 things. So this gives me a very flexible way of controlling the music that is being synthesized. Now, computer synthesis of sound started in the United States in the late 1950s, and at that time computers were so weak by comparison to today's computers that it took many seconds to make a second of sound, so you couldn't play a computer in real time like you play a violin. They just couldn't go that fast. Well, today computers are thousands of times faster, and this laptop computer is powerful enough to play music in real time. In fact, it's powerful enough to make a complete orchestra in real time, or this commercial synthesizer can make an orchestra in real time. So we now have very powerful computer instruments that we can play with. The question, though, is how can the performer control all these many instrument sounds? And the model that I'm using for this control is not the model of a violinist or pianist playing a score. Rather, it's the model of an orchestra conductor conducting music. The orchestra conductor doesn't have to play all the notes in the piece, or any of the notes, but he can control the expression of the piece and get the musicians to follow his batons. So I have written what I call the Conductor Program to enable me to play music with this. What about the score? Well, here's a typical musical score for a Bach air, and you can see the notes there. Now, I want to be able to control the expressive part of the performance, because that's really the exciting, interesting thing to me. And the score itself is not only here on paper, but it's in the memory of the computer. So when I ask the computer to play the next note, it reads what the next note is on the score and always plays the right note. So that's very nice. What are these expressive factors that I want to control? Well, one very important expression is the tempo of the music and the micro tempo of the music, the little pauses. And conductors control that with their baton, and they beat time. And so I made the Conductor Program follow the beat of this black baton and set the tempo that way and change the tempo in the performance that way. What is another very important expressive quality, and that's the dynamics, the loudness of the music. And so usually I put the loudness on the Y position of this gray baton, louder when I'm pushing it up toward the top, softer at the bottom. But I can assign these 6 variables to anything I want to, whatever works best for the particular music that I'm playing. So let me play an example to make this more concrete. And this will be this Bach suite here. And here are the notes. And above the notes, you will see these little arrows that I've started to write. And they show where the beats are in this piece of music. And since this is Bach, and Bach is very precise, I have put 8 beats in each measure so that I can make my conducting precise here. We'll turn on the conductor program, and we'll calibrate the batons. And now, what about the dynamics? Well, there are 2 kinds of instruments involved here: stringed instruments, violins, and we will control the loudness of the stringed instruments by this motion here. And then there is a harpsichord in the original Bach. We have an electric harpsichord here. And harpsichords do not normally have much control over their volume, but an electronic harpsichord does. So we will use the black stick where we make the beats to control the loudness. So if we make a beat here, it will be a loud note on the harpsichord and a soft note back here. So this is then how we will control the dynamics. And that's essentially what we're going to control. So let me now play a little bit of the music for you. Speed up a little bit. And I'll linger on this note. So that works well for this particular piece, but let's look now at a different piece that will require a different conducting technique. And this is a Chopin Prelude. And there you may notice that the beats fall on each chord that is being played. It's not beating time in a regular manner, but instead it's playing the melody of the prelude with the beats. So, this is entirely a piano piece. So instead of using 2 sticks, one to control the strings and the other the harpsichord, we'll only use 1 stick in this piece. So let me now load the score of the piece into the computer. And I want to switch my synthesizer to play a piano sound. And I'll turn on the computer. And calibrate my sticks. And now, the tempo of this piece. How do I want to play it? Well, the tempo depends on the room that I'm playing it in. And so I don't know what tempo I want to use until I hear this room. And the interesting part about a piano is the decay of the sound. So in general, I'll let the notes decay as long as they're interesting, and then I'll put in the next note when I'm tired of the preceding note. That's my interpretation of Chopin. Now, let's go to a completely different piece of music, one which you're all familiar with, Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, the first movement. And there are far too many notes to beat time in the detailed way that I beat time for the Bach, or to play the notes each with an individual beat. So I asked orchestra conductors how they like to beat time with the Fifth Symphony. They said, oh, we usually beat one beat per measure. And so I said, fine, I'll do that. So what I'm doing is setting the tempo each time I make a beat, and the orchestra is playing the measure properly, i.e. the computer playing it properly. But there are exceptions to that. As you know, the first notes are these three famous dot, 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 bong. And so the first beat is going to play those three notes. And then there's a fermata. So you start that note with another beat, and then you hold it as long as you want to, and you use an additional beat to cut off the note. So beats can be used either for starting notes or ending notes, or for setting a whole measure of notes, per guess. Now, Beethoven does this sequence of ta-ta-ta-pom twice. But the second time, the fermata is 2 measures long. And now why he did that with 2 measures instead of 1, I don't know, but I'll follow what he did. And so I'll use 2 beats to cut off the fermata. And then we go through a crescendo, which continues to another fermata. But this fermata is different. It starts with the full orchestra, but then the orchestra drops out and the strings sustain the note. And so in that fermata, you have to be sure to give the strings enough time for their moment of glory, or they'll be mad at you for the rest of the performance. So let's now pull that up. Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. And okay, so here's this initial 3 notes and the initial fermata, and then the fermata, and the cutoff, and then again, and 2 beats to cut off. And now the crescendo up to another fermata. And there the strings are having their moment, and we cut them off. And now we go back to another crescendo. Now, as the piece goes on, you get to a very interesting part of the score, and I'm going to skip over the interlude, where every orchestra conductor loses control of the performance. And why does he lose control of the performance? Well, it's an oboe solo, and the oboist can play it any way he wants to. The conductor may fire him, but it'll be too late. It's after the performance. So I now, to cure that, change places, and at the beginning of the oboe solo, I become the oboist. And so I play the oboe solo a beat for each note of the oboe. And so then I can play it the way I want to. So we'll start in a little bit ahead of that, and then I'll come to measure 262, which is a few measures before the oboe solo. And then at measure 268, the oboe solo begins. So here I'm conducting. And here's the oboe solo. And now we go back to being the conductor, and I'll sort of romp through the last thing because it excites me. I'll play it faster than the orchestra could, actually. So, that's a different way of experiencing music. John Chowning made a name for it. He calls it active listening. And I'm not sure whether any orchestra conductor or Beethoven himself would agree with my performance, but I actually don't care. I'm playing it for myself. And so that's the point about this. Now, I want to end up with a piece that's composed for the Radio Baton by a composer, John Appleton, who's at Dartmouth University College. And it's called Pacific Rim Mamba. He wrote it as a sort of a happy dance for all the nations that are around the rim of the Pacific Ocean. And it illustrates the versatility, particularly of controlling tempo with the radio batons. So far I've showed you how you can beat time as a conductor would beat time, or how you could play notes as Chopin would play notes on a piano. But in this piece, the other modes of tempo control that are in the program are exercised beautifully. And another mode is simply you can write the tempo that you want to play at the next beat into the score. So you can start fast notes or slow notes. And you can either play a single note with a beat, or you can play a group of notes. So it's very exciting to, with the next beat, play 4 notes or play 4 measures of notes. But you have to understand the score in order to do that, which makes it an exciting piece and a difficult piece to beat. And then there's an additional control, which I call the Accelerator pedal control. And in this piece, in sections of this piece, the Y position of the black stick will control the tempo continuously. So if you're up here, it'll play fast, and if you're down here, it'll play slowly. So you can make a tempo melody by moving back and forth this way. So I'll try to illustrate those things. And I'll also illustrate a place where we're controlling the timbre with the X position of the gray stick. So let's pull it up. So in the first measure, we'll play an individual note with each beat. And then with this beat, we'll play these next 3 measures of notes. And then we'll have a small section where each beat will play, we have individual notes here in this measure, and then each beat will play a full measure of notes. And then hush. And then we'll have different grouplets of notes that we play. So I'll point this out as we go along. So here we are at the beginning. And now we play this whole next 3 measures. And now a measure to beat. And now 8 grouplets. And two grouplets. And now the controller timbre with this motion. And now, one of these accelerator pedals. Individual notes. And now another accelerator pedal section to the end. So that gives you, I hope, a little feeling for the Radio Baton controller and the conductor program and what can be done with that.